All right, you got Tattoo, the Fonz, and a whole bunch of professional wrestling. Let's do this. Okay, everybody, today we're going back to 1978 to look at a little gem of a flick. Is it a masterpiece? We'll get to that later. It doesn't matter right now. We're checking out the one and only. Oh yeah, criminally overlooked, almost completely forgotten. We'll get to all that later. But before we go any further, before we dig into this gem anymore, you know what? I don't have a trailer to give you. Couldn't find one. I tried to Google one. I tried to DuckDuckGo one. I tried to Yahoo one. I went everywhere to find a trailer. In over 120 some odd videos, I've always found a trailer. Not this one. Couldn't do it. So I'm going to have to Siskel and Ebert. I'm going to have to Robert and whatever the fuck all their names were. It doesn't make a difference. I'm just going to show you a scene from the movie. It's the best I can do. I hate doing this. Somewhere my mother's probably crying right now because I'm breaking tradition. But what can I say? Let's hit it.
Yes. Don't I know you from someplace? Weren't you taller and much older? Tell me, do you ever pick your nose?
What?
Well, what I mean is, I can't imagine anyone as pretty as you are ever picking your nose.
I pick.
I'd sure like to take you to dinner some night.
Oh, well, this conversation has made me hungry. Why would you like to take me to dinner?
Good food, good conversation, perhaps some premarital sex.
What is this? Who are you?
The one and only Andy Schmidt. Who are you?
The ever-popular Mary Crawford. And totally unavailable.
Is your mother still good looking?
Yes, why?
Because if I marry you, I don't want an old bag at age 46. Have you ever seen me in anything, school play or anything?
No.
I'm terrific. I've been taking acting classes since I was 12. I'm going to be a star or a fireman.
Are you sure about being a star?
Well, I have doubts. Thursdays. Look, I have to go to rehearsal. Where do you live?
The Kappa House. But I'm kind of going with someone.
Oh, whoever it is, I like me better. I can't wait to kiss you. See ya. Don't worry if you're a virgin. Whatever goes on between us, I keep my mouth shut.
All right, this motion picture was directed by Reiner. He was really mostly a writer, did a lot in the old TV shows back in the days, but he directed some stuff, so here we go. He directed this. He directed stuff like Oh God, come on, you remember Oh God, and The Man with Two Brains, and The Jerk, and All of Me, and Dead Men Don't Wear Plaid, and Summer School. Notice he did a whole lot of work with Steve Martin. Well, it is what it is. Some movies you know, some movies you might remember, just the way it is. Let's move on. All right, playing Andy Schmidt, the Henry Winkler. I just talked about him not too long ago when I did Night Shift, so let's get to work. We're talking about he has been in stuff like The Waterboy, and Holes, and Little Nicky, and Heroes, which is a great movie from back in the day, and The Lords of Flatbush, which you should all go look up, and Click, and then he was on TV in Parks and Recreation, and The Practice, and Barry, and Royal Pains, and Children's Hospital, and of course, he will always be remembered as, primarily and foremost, for being on Happy Days, and Laverne and Shirley, I think even Mork and Mindy, as Arthur Fonzarelli. He was a cultural icon at the time, people, just the way it was. Playing Mary Crawford, Kim Darby. Remember her back in the day? She was on the scene a bit. Let's go down memory lane. We're talking about she was in stuff like True Grit, and Rich Man, Poor Man, and Better Off Dead. And she was on TV and TV shows like Dr. Kildare, and Man from U.N.C.L.E., and Gunsmoke, and Marcus Welby, MD, And she popped up on the Love Boat with every other fucking goddamn celebrity on the planet. And she was on Trapper John MD, and Murder, She Wrote, and Hotel. So, popped up on a lot of shit, folks, just the way it was. If you were of my generation, you remember Kim Darby. If you weren't, you probably don't, just the way it is. Playing Sidney, Gene Sachs. He ain't gonna jump out at you, but he's been in some shit. We're talking about he has been in stuff like Nobody's Fool, and Lovesick, and The Goodbye People, and Deconstructing Harry, and The Prisoner of Second Ave, and IQ, and The Good Policeman, and 1,000 Clowns, and really, he was like a Tony Award winner for directing plays and all that kind of stuff. He did a little bit of directing in the motion picture world too, so he was probably much more prominent there than he is as being an actor here. Playing Mr. Crawford, William Daniels. Mr. Tom Crawford, to be exact. Anyway, let's kick it. You're going to know as soon as you see the face. It's probably already up there, and you probably already recognize him. But let's go down memory lane. Anyway, we're talking about he has been in stuff like Quincy, and Saint Elsewhere, and Boy Meets World, and Touched by an Angel, and Grey's Anatomy, and Heart to Heart. And he was in movies too, like The Graduate, and Blind Date, and Oh God, and Black Sunday. And he will always be, the voice of Kit. You remember in Knight Rider? The Night 2000. Ah, come on, man. You can hear it. Playing Mrs. Crawford, otherwise known as Mom, Polly Holliday. Oh, this is fun. Let's kick it. We're talking about she was in stuff like Gremlins, and The Parent Trap, and Moon Over Parador. And she was on the TV show version of, like, you know, Private Benjamin and The Client. She was on Home Improvement. But let's not fuck around. She will always be known more for one role than any other. And that is for Florence Jean Tackleberry in the TV show Alice. Come on, man. Everybody remembers Alice, or at least you should. That fucking show was awesome. They actually fucked it up when they took her off and they put her into her own show called Flo. It just wasn't the same. Again, much like the Ropers on Three's Company, she's meant to be an addition, not to be the star. It was a waste of a character. It was kind of a shame. But when she was on this show, it was phenomenal. And just Kiss My Grits became like a national, where's the beef type saying. It was what it was. Playing Milton, Hervé Villechaize. Name doesn't jump out at you? I get it. Wasn't in that much. We're talking he was in The Man with the Golden Gun, and Forbidden Zone, and Airplane 2, the sequel. But he will always be, now and forever, known as Tattoo on Fantasy Island. You remember him standing next to Mr. Rourke? The plane! Fucking how many of you that are around my age ran around at one point or another saying, the plane! It's just the way it is, just the way it goes. Hervé Villechaize, he's fucking great in this, by the way. But anyway, we'll get to all that later. Playing Hector. Might as well throw him out while we're here. Henry Gould was on a lot of shit. We're talking about, you seen him pop up on stuff like Gunsmoke, and Rhoda, and the FBI, and Hogan's Heroes, and I Dream of Jeannie, and Cannon, and Hawaii 5-0, and Soap, and Police Story, and Webster. And you're going to definitely remember him if you ever watched The Golden Girls. And he was in movies too, you know what I mean? So he was in around, he was in some shit. He's been around. That's all I'm going to say. Just the way it is. And while we're at it, just keep an eye out for a shitload of other people in this motion picture. There's going to be even more that I'm just going to rattle off right now off the top of my head. I'm telling you, there's a lot of people in there. You're going to go, motherfucker, look at that. There he is. We're talking about Richard Caron is in this thing. We're talking about Jean LaBelle is in this thing. We're talking about Roddy fucking Piper is in this thing. And some faces like, you know, H.B. Haggerty is in it, and Mary Warrenoff, and Brandon Cruz. And we're talking about Ed Begley Jr. So there's a slew of humanity in this motion picture from way back in the day. Some professional wrestlers, some martial artists, some actors, some TV celebrities. This thing is loaded with faces. When you look around, you're going to be like, oh, yep, oop, beep, work, All right, everybody, we're going to keep this 90 seconds less. We're going to keep it fast, keep it entertaining, keep it moving so we can get to where we all rather be, which is the summation. Ha. Anyway, you got young Andy Schmidt. He is really obsessed with becoming a celebrity. He is obsessed with becoming a star. He's rude. He's arrogant. He's completely self-centered. He's obnoxious. He's going to make you want to punch him in the face at least 37 times during this course of this movie. Anyway, as he gets a little bit older, he meets a girl when he's in college. This girl named Mary comes from a good home. She's actually dating a guy that's going to go on to be a doctor. Well, until she meets this yahoo, and suddenly Mary, for some reason, and only a universe that she can describe, falls for the maniac. And this man is a maniac. He tells her he's going to be a star. He tells her he's going to be the greatest thing in the world. She falls for it all. Well, maybe doesn't fall for it, but she loves him the way it is. So, they get together. They get married. And they go off to New York to become celebrities. But, lo and behold, he can't get any work because his mouth is too big and his attitude is too large. So, what does he wind up doing? Nothing. Mary's taking care of him. She's working as a secretary until he gets an opportunity in the wonderful world of professional wrestling. Oh, that's right, folks. He becomes a professional wrestler. The family visits. Things don't go well. Things happen. He has a chance at stardom. I'm not going to tell you any more because I've already told you all you really need to know. Movie, obnoxious asshole, marries a good girl, moves to New York to be an actor, becomes a professional wrestler instead. I could have done that in 8 seconds. Let's get to the summation. Okay, everybody, the summation. Does this movie work? Yes, this movie works. Is it a perfect movie? No, but we'll get to that. First off, every actor in this thing just nails it. Henry Winkler is amazing as Andy Schmidt. He really is. He's over the top. He's ridiculous. And for him to take a role like this at that point in time during the whole Happy Days thing, which is 110% the opposite of anything that the world knows him as. They know him as Arthur Fonzarelli. Hey, hit the wall, jukebox comes on, snaps his fingers, lights appear, that kind of shit. This was as far removed from that as you could ever humanly imagine. So, I give tons and tons of props to him for taking a role like this around that genre of time. Kim Darby is lovable and adorable as Mary Crawford. She really is. You just wind up loving the character. You wind up caring for her. She's just so sweet, and no matter what happens, she's so supportive, well, most of the movie, for this little Nimrod that she fell in love with, and she's just like the cutest character. Polly Holliday and William Daniels are just great as her parents, because you understand where they're coming from. You get it. Their daughter, with a future or opportunities, is now married this loser and living in a bum fucking building in the middle of New York City. They play it well, they play it comedic to a degree, but they play it sympathetic and realistic enough to the point where you sit there and say, they're delivering on what these characters need. And of course you got the whack pack. You know, you got Sidney and Milton, all played by great actors and all doing it right to the top. I mean, they're funnier than shit. Now, is this motion picture one of those motion pictures that's going to make you bust a gut, fall on the floor out of your chair at some crazy shit? No. There's some great one-liners in it. There's some really funny shit said in it. But is it one of those over-the-top comedies that's just going to leave you railing around on the floor, dropping dead? No. You're going to smile all the way through it. You're going to chuckle all the way through it. You're going to laugh at a good amount of parts in it. But is it stuff that's going to make you just spit out your lunch? Probably not. But that's fine. Because the selling point of this motion picture is the relationship between Andy and Mary. That's really what this motion picture is about. This motion picture is about this guy who's so self-centered, so egotistical, so the only thing in the world that he loves that shows up on his radar is himself all the time. Andy comes before everything. Andy comes before everyone. Andy comes before every situation. Everybody's needs, it doesn't make a difference. It's Andy, 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 Andy. And for some reason, you got this sweetheart of a chick that is just devoted to this Nimrod, this idiot. And through that, helps him develop into a guy who actually realizes, oh my God, there's something I love more than me. There's something I care about more than myself. And that is really the juxt of this motion picture. That's why you really fall in love with it, and that's why you really care. Does the movie have a few flaws? Of course, any movie has a few flaws. Sometimes the soundtrack kind of smacks you in the face. I think that they could have lowered the music down in a couple of the scenes and even maybe not had it in a couple of the scenes, but it has that kind of 70s vibe. It is what it is. It's just the way it goes. Carl Reiner, I was never a huge fan of this guy as a director. Just the way it was. He had some good stuff, he had some okay stuff, but he does an adequate job in this. It's solid. It gives you a movie that rolls around, moves along, keeps a pace, kind of like some of his other stuff did. The names I mentioned, whether it was The Jerk or whether it was Oh God, good flicks. Not crazy shit, but good flicks. Solid. Another added attraction to this little flick is the kind of wrestling angle. Come on, it's fun. We all know what wrestling is. It's entertainment. And this was in 1978 when people really didn't get the idea that some of this was just entertainment. So you got to see behind the scenes of the wrestling thing, and you got to see that it was, you know, it was a work and it was a show. And they were bringing this guy in who wasn't physically imposing enough to be a wrestler. I mean, what's Henry Winkler, like 5'7", about 35 on a good day? And they built these situations around this actor where they can really, really, really have some fun and take it to the next level and have a grand old time. And have a grand old time they do with that whole angle. His wrestling scenes in this motion picture are fucking hilarious. Let's face it, when they make him out to be the evil scientist that hypnotizes his opponents before he takes them out, fucking shit is great. When they make him out to be the evil Nazi and him and Roddy Piper are just going across the country doing the whole thing and he's in uniform with a spiked fucking helmet and throwing this, I mean, it's hilarious. And of course when he comes up as the Gorgeous George type character where he's got the hair and he's got the robe and he's very, very, very stylish, let's just say, it is hilarious and you are dying. And it also must be said too, obviously, this was a movie made in the 70s, so it is not politically correct. It's fucking funny as hell, folks, but it is not politically correct. So if you think you're somebody that's going to get their fucking shit in a twist because of a few jokes or a little bit of humor, something like that, then you're probably not going to really like some of the parts of this movie, but they're fucking funny. And it was from a time when everybody could kind of like laugh and goof and mess with each other, no matter what their height or their size or their whatever they are. Everybody would just have a laugh and it was kind of cool with it. All right, everybody, if you get a shot, when you have some time, and here's the best part. I was just going to tell you to go out there and watch the one and only, but it's on YouTube for free. And I'm going to put the link in the description underneath the header of this video, and you can go watch the movie. It's not one of those weird YouTube things where somebody took it and sped it up, slowed it down, put funny things over it so they get on there. I just don't think anybody owns this fucking thing. And the movie's on there in its entirety so you can watch it in its real form and enjoy it. All right, everybody, be good, stay out of trouble, have a great one, be kind to a stranger, be nice to family, look out for friends, always try to do the right thing. And no matter what, above all else, under no circumstances or any situation, ever take any bullshit from anybody. See you soon.